And happy Howl-O-ween, folks. Thrash Bondo here. And happy Halloween. I at the risk of being redundant. Yes. No collaborative video this week. It was Sarah's mother's birthday today, so she is refraining from YouTube activity. But the plan is that next week it'll be Danny, myself, and sister Sarah with a new collaboration. And Lance Chafin is winner of the first guest of the evening. How you doing, Lance? Welcome to the proverbial party. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Wow, that's weird. I currently have no viewers and 2 likes. Cute trick. Oh, Tracy is here. Tracy, hi, how you doing? Um, it was so nice being on Tug's chat with you today, by the way. So glad we were able to work together, and so glad to have you here tonight. Lance is doing good. That's excellent. Zupflix is here. He says, good evening. Tom McCluskey is here. He says, hi, people. It's weird. I think my viewer tracker is slow because it says only one person, and there's at least 5 of you. And Gary is here. Says greetings, guys and ghouls. I'm back. Greeting, guys and ghouls. Who was it who used to always open his show like that? Who was it? Spooky Creepy Jay. He's the one who did retrospects on horror television. Great stuff. I don't think he's been broadcasting in like the last year or so, but yeah, it was. I think he always said guys and ghouls. Emily is here. He says, "Hey y'all." Dave. Oh my God, Dave Sundstrom is here. Dave, so glad you could see it, and I'm glad you're here because I wanted to ask you. We're still on for recording this Tuesday. Dave and I have a little secret collaboration we're working on in the spirit of Howl-O-ween. But Dave, so glad you could make it. Welcome to the party. What you mean is here? It says hello, everyone. Emily says showing 6 folks on my side. Yeah, now I got 11. Now I got 11, so I think we're back up to scratch. Dominic D is here. He says, "Hey Bob, hello, folks." Oh, excellent. Yeah, well, we got Daryl Johnson's here. He says, "Bob, other brother Daryl, good to see you, my man." Oh, another thing, Dave. So sorry I missed your live chat the other day. I was, of course, at work. We were so busy. Saturday night, we were uber cray cray. Still on for Tuesday. Let me know what time you'd like to record. Sounds like a plan. I'll give you a call during the day tomorrow, or a text, or I'll get in contact with you tomorrow. But late afternoon, my time works for me. Zubik says, "Hey T Pons, Hollywood Graveyard has a Halloween special, which is really good. I saw a thumbnail for it. I haven't had a chance. I was kind of busy today, but I saw the thumbnail and I will try to check it out." Emily says 11 now. Key says good evening. Won't be talking much, but we'll be listening back to normal next week. Yeah, the carpal tunnel. I imagine that would really, really, really impact your ability to type. So sorry, but I'm glad the operation went well. And everybody wish Keith a speedy recovery. Cindy D says hello, everyone. Indy's Belt is here. Says, I know which horror host said, welcome, guys and ghouls. All of them. No, yes, Indy. But there was a YouTube poster specifically who is a friend of the channel. Trey says, it was really nice being on there with you guys as well as Thrash. I love that. It's so much fun. Thanks to Tug for everything. I couldn't have said it better myself, Tracy. Thank you, and thank you so much for being a part of it. But it was a blast. And Dave says, Doug, oh, doing well, Lance. Thanks for asking. And Emily says, Indy, I always think of Elvira when I hear that. She was a great horror host. I still have some of her shows on videotape. And Tom says, what does JD in JD Sunstrom? What does JD in JD Sunstrom? Good question. Uh, and Mike Silva's here. Says, Servo, the hills have eyes, but they have glaucoma right now. Servo, ooh, it's been gong, Tom, as Rod Rody. It's a new car. Excellent. Got to be an MST3K reference. Christopher Wilkinson is here. Christopher, how you doing? He says, good evening, Bob. Christopher, so good to see you, my man. Uh, Gary Carpenter says, Arthur Dark has a video out on Horror Icons Hollywood Graveyard. I do love Hollywood Graveyard. I just haven't had a chance to watch his show. And Mike Silva says he's watching his favorite episode of MSTK right now. Excellent, excellent. Mike, they call me Mr. Tibbs. And Tracy says hello to basically everyone. And John David. Apparently, JD Sunstream is John David. Excellent. Oh, and Big Guys 45 is here. Big Guys, good to see you. I was actually on a completely different post. I think it was 13-Week Theater, and I saw one of your comments. He mentioned, it was Pink Lady. He mentioned their top 40 hit, and he got it wrong, and you corrected him. Big Guy, I was like so proud of you. I'm like, well, this guy knows his music. But 13-Week Theater is a good show if you guys get a chance to check it out. He does very short-lived television shows. Gary Kimmel says, what's wrong with Keithy? Oh, he had carpal tunnel surgery on his hands, which is probably why he's not really feeling like doing a lot of typing. And Angelina McCardle is here. Angelina, so great to see you. Says, hey, Lance, Daryl, and Zuper. Angela, thank you very, very, very much for it's Angela McCardle. I think I always get your name wrong, but it's so nice to have you with us, Angela. And Indy says, did you have a nap today, Thrash? You seem 27.3% more manic than usual. No, I didn't get a chance to have a nap today. I'm just sort of in avenging angel mode. We'll see how long it lasts. Sometimes I crash early when I get like that. And Thomas says, I remember Pink Lady, but do you remember Jeff? And Emily says, does Bob have a new mic? No, this is the same one that Dave gave me as a gift a couple years ago. Great sound, and I still love it, and I'm still appreciative. Sean Innes is here, and he says hello to everyone. And Angelina says, I'm going to have surgery on my hand December 5th. Good luck to you. High five. Good luck to Angela. I hope it all works out well for you. And I'm going to skim down through the old hellos. It's like the Waltons. Angela says, you pronounced right, Thrash. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I always have to kind of wing it with names. There was one person whose I always mispronounce their name. They were very nice, but they corrected me like 3 times. Dominic D says, good luck with the surgery, Angela. And Tracy says, hi, Keith. If you are watching, feel better soon. That's very nice of you, Tracy. And Angela says, thank you. Yeah, he says, good night, John Boy. Yeah, that's the shtick. And Keith says hi to Sean and Angela. And Sean says, best wishes with the hand surgery. And Angela says, I got a new kitty. His name is Gizmo. And really Dynamo. LOL. Just don't get him wet or feed him after midnight. And Wajimine says, good luck with the surgery. And then he says, but Bob, Avenging Angel mode only requires a manic increase of 12%. You overachiever. I have been called many things in my day. Overachiever is not one of them. Thank you. I appreciate that. A new first. Yeah. Lance says, good night, Dom Boy. And Cindy says, hello to everyone. And Angela says, LOL, won't LOL. Lance says he had a dog named Gizmo. Oh, excellent. And Zublik says, hope everything goes well with Gizmo. And Sean says to Keith and Mr. Wilkinson, hey, fellas, good to see you. I've been somewhat MIA as of late, but you're here tonight, and we're so glad you could make it. As always, Gary Carper says, I just finished watching Ernest Scared Stupid, still hilarious. I don't know if I've ever seen that one. Trace says hi to Cindy. And yes, of course, hello, Cindy. It is so awesome to see you with us this evening. And Angel says Gizmo is a really card keeps my 11-year-old orange tabby cat on his toes. LOL. You mean on his nails? Yes. Oh, and yes, I will put a bottle of your fizzy water in the fridge. Mrs. Thrash asked me to put. Oh no, she's regular water. She wants regular water. I will put regular water in the fridge. Everyone say hi to Mrs. Thrash. Hi, Mrs. Thrash. What's this face? Where am I?
You told me not to talk.
When have I ever told you not to talk? Regular water, you got it. Love you, dear. Anywho, where was I? And it says, sorry, I can't type right. LOL. Oh, everyone's saying hello, Mrs. Thrash. Everyone says hello. And says, I'm good, Lance. How are you? And Sean says, oh, hello, gasp. She talked. LOL. And he says, how about a hot bumper sandwich? Booger lips, Ernest P. Worrell, poet and statesman. Not quite sure on the reference, but I'm sure you'll explain it to me later. First time you hear Mrs. Thrash. Regular water, just the way you like it. Yes, she likes her fizzy water at room temperature and her bottled water chilled. Flat water. Uh, but I was in the middle of something when she was like giving instructions, and it shows. But I'm glad we cleared that up. Regular one, just the way you like it. Gary says, hi there, Mrs. T and Mama T. Oh, yeah, Mama T's around. She's in her loft, which is what we call the sub level. And yeah, Len says, I'm okay, Cindy. Sure missed you lately. Yes, we miss you when you're not here. And by the way, also shouts out to everyone else who is sometimes here but not here at present. Too many to mention as late, but you all know who you are if you're not here. Anyone who's not here, we miss you. And Tom says, I tell my Asian wife not to talk. Just joking. What he said, she has a voice. And he says, was that Mrs. Wallow? No. No, it wasn't Mrs. Wallowitz. Sweetie. And oh, Tim is here. Happy Sunday. Fun day, Thrash. Happy Sunday, fun day to you too, Tim. So glad you could make it. And he says that's a quote from Ernest Scared Stupid. But oh, which I have now proven I didn't see because I didn't catch the reference. I had a feeling it was from an Ernest movie that I hadn't seen, but something told me I should have gotten it even though I hadn't seen it. But thank you. And a lot of people saying hello to one another. Autumn as Mur. Autumn as Mister. I'm always a little vague on the ASMR. I was going to say as Mister, but Autumn is here. Autumn, hi, so nice to meet you on the channel. I've seen you on. I know I've seen you. I think it was Corey's channel. Was it Corey's channel? I saw you on the other day. But anyway, welcome to the party or ex parte, as I like to say. Everybody, welcome Autumn to the gang. And let's see. Cindy says it's nice to be missed, guys. And we certainly miss you. And Emily says physically, anyway, super. I hope that means doing better. And I'm actually caught up. Oh, Autumn says, yes, I go to Corey's. That's right. I thought I saw you. I was actually able to catch Corey the other day. I actually caught him twice in the same week, and it's funny because usually we miss each other's live chats. And so anyway, now that I've caught up, we're not quite time for trivia yet, but anyway, tonight remember we were going to do Chris Christopherson trivia, and I just didn't seem right for Halloween. I found some great stuff on Chris Christopherson, but it just didn't feel right for Halloween. So I actually did random Halloween movies. That's going to be tonight's trivia. And Tom says, got Fan X next month with Richard Dreyfuss. Big autograph to get. Congratulations. Cindy says, I have church functions on Sunday evening. Sometimes I can't be at two places at the same time. I wish I could, Lance. I'm glad you missed me. Oh. And he says, "Ouch!" Thrash with the audible, um, uh, an audible arrangement, or audio book, or in any event, uh, I suppose I am audible because you can hear me. And Angela says, "Well, I'm not going to do well on this trivia, but I will do my best." I tried to make them on the mainstream side. One of the things I've been trying to do is, as you know, there's always multiple choice. I've been trying to make questions a little more guessable, so you always have a fighting chance. What do you mean is BRB going to get food? Oh, bring me some. What you mean? Lynn says, and Emily says, "Wedge, just about you've made afraid of the trivia." And Angela says, "I said I'm typing right. I got a odd brace on my right hand." You can do the thing with the pencil, where you just hold two pencils. And Danny is here. Says, "Greetings from South Carolina." Danny, I'm so glad you could make it. Good to see you again today. Emily says, "Admit." Dave says, "It's always nice to catch a bit of Bob Live. Sadly, I'm going to have to catch the rest of this stream on replay. Take care, all." Dave, the fact that you came by means the world to me. I'm so glad you were by, and I will be working with you on Tuesday. I'll give you a call. Like I said, I'll give you a call or a text tomorrow just to firm things up. And Angela says, "Weird." I have been weird on occasion. God knows, people have certainly called me weird. I've been called weird a lot more than overachiever. And he says, "That was ooh, not ouch. Are those the lenses, glasses supermodels wear?" Um, they're just regular cheetahs. You mean the ones that actually don't do anything to improve your eyesight? Uh, um, Sometimes when it scrolls when I'm trying to read, I misinterpret what the letters actually stand for. You know what I mean? And Dominic D says, "I hear Richard Dreyfuss poses with the shark from Jaws when he goes to those autograph shows." Um, I'm sure he does. That was like his big breakthrough movie, by the way. If I mean he'd done other work before, but I think that's what really put him on the map. And Sean says, "Food. Oh yeah, AFK for a sec." And Emily says, "Have a wonderful evening, Dave." Yes, Dave, thank you for stopping by. It was great to have you with us this evening. Thank you. And Danny, thank you for dropping links. I believe drop a link for Wedgeming too, if you get a second, please. I'd appreciate that. I'm sure he would too. Although I'm sure you all already subscribed to his channel. And Tim says, "Did you know that Bewitched, the Addams Family, and the Munsters all debuted 60 years ago this year?" I did not. That sounds right, but I did not know that. Angela says, "I'm weird all the time." Then we're in good company. Um, yeah, Gary came up with an idea about doing like trivia on horror themed shows. I think that could actually work really well as well. Zubik says, "When network television was weird." It certainly was. It certainly was. And Gary says, "To Teb, I've already seen the Bewitched special." Excellent. And oh, the Entertainment Headquarters is here. He says, "Hello, everyone." Kevin, so good to see you. Jenny, please give a link to the Entertainment Headquarters. Are you back from Romania? I thought you were going to be there for like the month. But anyway, I'm so glad you could make it with us this evening. And he says, "Expand the chat box, Bob. It keeps it on the screen longer." Yeah, but then it takes up too much of the. Uh, I suppose I could do that. I don't know why I don't. But I'm a creature of habit. And Danny says hello to all, and Tom says, "Been going to conventions for 49 years, got almost 500 autographs. That's better than 10 a year." And Emily says, "The Supernatural guys were in the Charlotte this weekend. I couldn't afford to go." Oh, they did manage to go to Asheville with donations, though. That's very, very nice. Oh, and I heard, by the way, Jersey Mike's is giving free sandwiches to linemen in Florida this week over the weekend. That's very, very kind. And Zublik says, I think Living Dull debuted too. Um, is that the show where it turns out the girl's a robot, or is it the Twilight Zone episode with Telly Savalas? Dominic D says, cool, Thomas. And Kevin says, hope all is doing well. Thank you very, very much. And thank you for the link, Danny. And Thomas says, my first autograph was George Takei. Oh my. Yeah, the lens goes, oh my. And Jibbly says, yes, T-Pawns with Bob Cummings. Okay, so it was the one where it turns out the girl is actually a robot. It's funny because TV shows in the 60s, you had a show where the lady is a witch, a show where a lady is a genie, a show where a lady is a robot, and a show where a gay guy is from Mars. And oh, look who's here! Crapshoot Creative. I'm sorry, Crapshoot Creations is here and says big high five to the live. High five to your life too, by the way. Great to see you, by the way. So glad you could make it. Danny, please give Crapshoot Creations a link. He does some great craft work on his show. And Kevin says, yes, just a week, but it was fantastic. Oh, yeah, I thought you were gone for like 3 weeks, but I'm glad you're back. And I'll try to get in touch with you this week to see maybe when we can get together with Anubis and do one of the collaborations we were talking about. I believe we left off with Tarantula was the project we want to do most recently. Although I still love the idea of doing the best made-for-TV horror movies, or just made-for-TV movies in general, but those schlocky 70s made for TV horror movies were a joy. And Indy says a show where a lady is Tom Hanks. Well, Tom Hanks used to dress like a lady on Bosom Buddies. But I'm sure not what you're talking about. I'm sure you're going to correct me. And Zublik says, and my favorite Martian is included in that group. Yeah, that was the one I was joking about. And Emily says, and the lady who was a vampire. Was Lily actually a vampire? I know her father was a vampire. I always kind of pictured her as just, well, yeah, she does kind of look like the part of a vampira, but I always pictured her more of just being like a demon lady as opposed to an actual vampire. But I suppose it could go either way. And is there really a distinction? So, all right, yeah, we will settle this. She is a vampire. And oh my God, SJM Yola. SJ, I'm coming again. I'm so excited to see you. I can't say it. SJ Miola. Oh, we haven't seen you guys in like, what is it, a year? Glad to be here. I've been binge watching the original Twilight Zone, especially the 3 that featured Jack Klugman. SJ, weren't there 4 that featured Jack Klugman? I think he did 1 hour and 3 half hours. The one where in Praise of Pip, the one where he is the trumpet player with the alcohol problem, and the hour one with Ross Martin. And I could have sworn he did one more. Maybe it is just a 3, but either way, he did at least 3. But anyway, so glad you're with us. Where you been? Welcome back to the party. You're just in time for trivia. Gary says, Tom, I did have Magil Roddenberry's autograph, but I think I've lost it. Oh, that's a bummer. Lynn says, Indie Bosom Buddies. Here you go. Cindy D says, Bosom Buddies having a friend like you. And Kevin says, hell yeah, I am all in. Excellent. And a lot of people are guessing Bosom Buddies, much like I did. And he says, she is definitely a vampire. Well, it's funny because Grandpa made references to biting people. And not only does Lily never make references to biting people, she actually is always correcting him for doing it. And I think that's what put the gray area in my gray matter. but I will defer. And Zubril says Lily was the Frankenstein's bride. Oh, she was far prettier than that. And then he says, although she apparently a vampire that can play in the sunlight. Well, Grandpa could go out in the daylight too. And Cindy says, watching Sleepless in Seattle and A Night to Remember double feature on Tree on YouTube after this. Oh, okay. And free, not tree, free. Gary says, has anyone seen the video come? You guys hear that? Fireworks, I hope to God. Or the Civil War has started. You guys hear that, right? Gary Carver says, has anyone seen the video Come Next Door by Katie Olson? She is a bride of Frankenstein. I have not seen it, but it sounds fascinating. Dominic D says the whole family were all different universal monsters. There was Uncle Gilbert, the creature from the Black Lagoon. Correct. Very good. There was Uncle Gil. Get it? Gil. Uncle Gilbert. And Emily says, Indy, Grandpa was out during the day too. Oh, very good, very good. SJ says, hate pool player with Mr. Uh, Winters was the fourth. Oh, gotcha. And Zublik says the Titanic tragedy plus rom com. And Len says Cindy will give you a night to remember. And Cindy says like the Stephen Mills song. And don't forget Herman had twin. He certainly did. The scientist which made him didn't have didn't have an honest bone in his shop or something like that. Cindy says message retracted. And Thomas says funniest episode of the Monsters is with Will Robinson. I don't remember Bill Mumy being on the Monsters, but I'll take your word for it. And Gary says, don't forget the Paul Lynde was on the Monsters. I Dream of Jeannie. And he was. He played like a psychiatrist or something on the Monsters. But he was on Dream of Jeannie. I can't remember what he was on I Dream of Jeannie, but good catch. And Tim says, the video for Michael Jackson's Thriller is legendary more than 40 years later. It certainly is. It certainly is. And Gary says, don't forget that Paul Lynde was on the Monster. Oh, yeah, there we that's a repeat. And Kevin says, Time Machine. I could do the Time Machine, the original, of course. And Tracy says, I like the Monsters where Herman is Monsters where Herman is wearing absolutely no makeup at all, and they all think he looks bad. Dom DeLuise is in that. A very young Dom DeLuise is in that as a plastic surgeon, and that is a very, very, very funny episode. And Gary Cameron says message retracted. Dominic D says Grandpa thought he turned Bill Mumy into a chimp. Oh, okay, yes. All right. Okay, I haven't seen that one in years, but yes, I do recall. Hey, shall we go on to do trivia? Yeah, Bob, do trivia. Are you sure? Yeah, Bob, do trivia. Oh, Angela says, sorry, I got a bit distracted, so I'm a bit lost at everyone is talking about. Mostly Twilight Zone episodes now. And Kevin says Land of the Giants. I actually like that show. I like Irwin Allen. Oh my God, Luke is here. Music Girl 67 is here. Says hello there and good evening to Thrash and everyone. I can't believe I finally made it. Hoping you all are doing well and enjoying this beautiful autumn evening. We certainly are, especially now that you're here, Music Girl. So glad you could make it. Very, very glad you could make it. And Teb says, Luke says, can it? And Teb says, what's your opinion on the golden age of fantasy-centric sitcoms in the 60s? I thought some of them were very entertaining, but all very, 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 very fanciful. And he says the public outcry for trivia was deafening. Well, then we shall start it. Remember, it's going to be just random Halloween themed horror movies. And if I skip anyone's comments for the moment, it's only because I'm concentrating on reading these. And as always, I shall read them in no particular order. Number 10. According to Joe Bob Briggs, this actress has the dubious honor of being horror's first final girl. A. Olivia Hussey, Jess from Black Christmas. B. Adriana King, Alice, Friday the 13th. C. Jamie Lee Curtis, Laura, Halloween. Laurie, Halloween, sorry. Or D. Sigourney Weaver, Ripley, Alien. Oh, and if you're wondering what I mean by the first final girl, a final girl is in those old horror movies. There was always one survivor at the end. It was usually a female, and she was this very traumatized female at the end who had to sort of put all the pieces back together, literally, not figuratively. And why Joe Bob Briggs? He was actually discussing this on one of his shows the other night, which I just happened to catch. Oh, Face the Ace is here. It says hello, sir. Hello, everyone. Face the Ace, you're just in time for trivia, as I am actually going to repeat the question. According to Joe Bob Briggs, resident expert on everything, this actress has the dubious honor of being horror's first final girl. A. Olivia Hussey, Jess, Black Christmas. B. Adriana King, Alice, Friday the 13th. C. Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie, Halloween. Or D. Sigourney Weaver, Ripley, Alien. And Musical says, oh, she's saying hello to everyone. I've been living under a rock lately. I have been a few of Dave's live, but I've missed Thrashes for the last few months. So glad you could make it. Tom says, met Joe Bob. He's funny guy. Got banned in San Francisco. Little too much, huh? I understand. Anyway, lot of any of these would be valid because I'm going to give a little hint. It wasn't necessarily chronological. Someone actually coined the term "final girl." Oh, and he says Webb Black Christmas was the earliest, but Jamie Lee in Halloween is a lot more famous. The term "final girl" is actually coined by an aficionado of horror, and the person she used to coin the term was Adrian King, who was Alice in Friday the 13th. She was the first one to be labeled Final Girl. But yeah, you guys are right. Olivia Hussey was technically Black Christmas is considered the first slasher movie, and Olivia Hussey did survive. But of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is the queen of slasher horror. And you know what? Ripley could have been a good guest too. Moving forward, number 9, not including sequels or prequels. How many adaptations of Salem's Lot has there been? A1, B2, C3, or D4? You sank my battleship. I shall repeat. Not including sequels or prequels, how many adaptations of Salem's Lot has there been? A1, B2, C3, PO, couldn't resist, or D4? And he says, so I have to suffer due to the ignorance of some film critics. Sweet. Remember, the questions aren't always chronological. It's, who was coined as the term. Let's just see. Cindy's Olivia Hussey, Emily. Danny says, what? Oh, you want me to repeat the question? Not including sequels or prequels, how many adaptations of Salem's Lot have there been? I do see the right answer. It may have been an educated guess, but Face the Ace says, also my live stream next week, October 20th. I'm celebrating my birthday. My live stream next week at 8 p.m. Excellent. Danny, could you give that's all, folks. Give Face the Ace a link, please. And then he says you didn't exclude the book, so technically four. But I think you only want three. Yeah, yes. Because the book isn't an adaptation. The book is the book. The book is the source material. It's its own source material. There have actually been two live adaptations and a radio adaptation. So there have been three. Question 8. Which of these titles is not an example of the friendly advice horror trope? And you'll know what I mean in just a second. A, don't go in the house. B, don't answer the phone. C, don't ask Alice. Or D, don't look in the basement. And friendly advice is just that. It's like where the title is warning you what you're not supposed to do. I shall repeat. Which of these titles is not an example of the friendly advice horror trope? A, don't go in the house. B, don't answer the phone. C, don't ask Alice. Or D, don't look in the basement. Oh, is Lance leaving us? Great to see you. Catch you all next week. Time. Okay. Lance, if you got to go, more than understand. So glad you could make it. Have a great evening, brother. Take care of yourself. Melissa Foster's here says, sorry I'm late. Quite all right. You're able to make 80% of the trivia. So no worries, but I'm glad you could make it. Better late than never. And he says Beatrix Sparks does not care for this question. Huh? Anyway, oh, Bing. Okay, so Indy actually he got it. So I'm just gonna answer. It's C. Don't ask Alice, which is actually I think a pretty slick name for a horror movie. I think there is one called Go Ask Alice or something like that from forever ago. Don't Ask Alice is actually I believe it was a series of Irish kids books, who I'm guessing was written by Beatrice Sparks. And bully for you for getting it. She wrote. Oh, Go Ask. All right, so yeah, she actually wrote Go Ask Alice, which isn't a horror. It's about a teenage girl with a drug problem or something. Very after school special E. And Charlie says Emily is going to hunt you down, Thrash Pondo. Oh dear, I hope not. Emily says, what was the answer for number 10? Number 10 was B. B, Adrienne King from Friday the 13th is the first final girl. And then it was C, there have been three adaptations. And then C, Don't Ask Alice. And this recap is for the benefit of those of you who crooned in late or hadn't been paying attention. Thank you, Indy, for also updating us there. Dominic D says, I think of the White Rabbit song by Jefferson Airplane when I hear Go Ask Alice. Yes, I know. In fact, I believe that's actually a reference. Well, it's still a reference to the same thing. It's Alice in Wonderland. Because apparently Coleridge was a wicked, wicked, wicked opium fiend, and that's why he wrote Alice in Wonderland. Number 7. Which of these horror flicks is in actuality an especially gross adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space? A, The Thing. B, Reanimator. C, The Curse. Or D, The Shuttered Room? I shall repeat. Which of these horror flicks is in actuality an especially gross adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space? A, The Thing. B, Reanimator. C, The Curse. Or D, The Shuttered Room? Oh, just look, I see the answers pouring in, so I'm gonna give you guys a minute. Gary says Lily Monster was a vampire. Her father was a count, but Eddie was a werewolf. Yeah, that's never actually adequately explained how when you mix a reanimated corpse with a vampire, how you get a werewolf. But oh, John Doe's here. The great one is here. John Doe, so glad you could make it, my brother. How are things going in your end? And Music Girl says, A, copying off Emily. Still answers coming, and someone give it another minute. He says, I could make an argument for three of those, but I think you want the shuttered room. You're kidding. You're kidding. The shuttered room is the only one well, actually, no, the shuttered room is based on, well, they're all based on Lovecraft. And I can't remember the title of what the Shuttered Room is based on, although I read it, and it's very, very, very loosely based on the actual source material. The thing, of course, borrowed heavily from Into the Mountains of Madness, and Reanimator is, oh, what was it called? The reanimation of Dexter Kirby or I haven't read Lovecraft in so long, but no, they're all Lovecraft themed. But no, it was actually The Curse with Will Wheaton and Claude Akins. The Curse is uh, it's actually a close adaptation. It's set in present day, but and it's not really good, but it was an attempt to do The Color Out of Space, which I read when I was in college, and that one really creeped me out. Of course, the creepiest thing about The Color Out of Space is it's set in Massachusetts, and the reservoir the surveyors are coming out to survey, which just happens to coincide in with the contaminated well that the meteor fell into that's causing all the mutations, is the Quabbin Reservoir, which provides water for all of Boston. You can tell. I can already hear you guys saying it. But yeah, and he says it has a locked room, cold neighbors, desolate setting around the mill, and a family curse. Well, you can describe that about all of Lovecraft. But the curse with Will Wheaton, where a meteor actually crashes on this struggling farmer's property, and it causes all kinds of horrible mutations. Um, is So yeah, the curse um was the actual answer. There's no meteor crash in the shuttered room. There was in Die Monster Die. In fact, I believe in the credits for Die Monster Die with Nick Adams and Boris Karloff, it says inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft or something. I forget, but yeah, yeah. So sorry, indeed, it was the curse. C. And now we're going on to number six. And by the way, I only recommend it to true Lovecraft fans. By the way, number six, and then we'll get scores. Number six, horror movie perennial PJ Souls did not appear in this vintage horror classic. Was it A, Halloween, B, My Bloody Valentine, C, Carrie, or D, The Devil's Rejects? Oh, Lisa Fields is here. Hi, Thrash. Hi, everybody. Lisa, so glad you're here. You have time to make it for the last 60% of tonight's trivia. John Doe says, My mother is a werewolf. That sounds like a horror movie from the 50s. I shall repeat. Horror movie perennial PJ Souls did not appear in this vintage horror classic. A, Halloween, B, My Bloody Valentine, C, Carrie, or D, The Devil's Rejects. Emily says, John, my children's mother is a witch. Well, we already knew that. Esmeralda's here, says, Hey, Thrash. Hey to you too, Esmeralda. So good to just see you. Tom says, I met PJ Souls. She's nice. Oh, cool. And Sean says, Oh, yeah. Yes, you can work it out. And John says, the Smurfs 2 out for revenge. Dominic says, I was a teenage werewolf. Yes, with Michael Landon. Wait. Yeah, Michael Landon. And Emily says, hell if I know. I'm going to guess D for reasons. Christopher says, you ask tough trivia questions, Bob. I got zero so far. We have to be a fan of old horror movies. If you're not, you probably won't do too well. Um, I can't read into this comment. Denny says, I strongly suggest my. I'll come in again. I strongly suspect my ex mother in law is a vampire because she sucks. Azubuk says 1 for 4 at this time. And Mute Girl says, Gary, are you in North Carolina? I had no idea. Glad you're doing okay, my friend. And John Doe said, Spirited Away. Hayao Miyazaki. The correct answer is My Bloody Valentine. And shall we get scores? If anyone cares, if anyone's keeping score. Gary Cameron says 67. Yes, I am, but nowhere near Asheville. But they got scratched. Yeah, my father live. Actually, my father, brother, and sister all live in North Carolina. Sisters on the coast. Everyone else lives in the Raleigh area. Meal Girl says, I loved the 1981 My Bloody Valentine, but I don't recall BJ stolen it. Yeah, no, she wasn't. She was in the others. She was in Halloween. She has a small part in Halloween. She's also in Carrie and The Devil's Rejects. John Doe says, what is a good Halloween movie about Halloween? A good Halloween movie about Halloween? Halloween 3, I'm gonna guess. Oh, here we have some scores. Dominic D is 3 of 5, Tab is 3 of 5, Angelina's 1 of 5. Rachel is in the house. She says, hi, I'm late. Yes, but you're just in time for the second half of trivia. And Gary says, you, Esmeralda. And Cindy says, that's good to hear, Lisa Fields. I'm glad you're okay. Yes, glad you're okay as well. I didn't see what you're okay from, but I'm glad you could make it that you're okay. Gary is 4 for 5. What do you mean is 3 of 5? Emily says, I think I'm 2 of 5, but could be 3 of 5. I got lost a long time ago. Give it 3 of 5. Tom McCluskey is goose egg. That's okay. We're just sort of playing along for fun at this point. And Dominic says, I have 2 sisters in Durham, North Carolina. Fortunately, they weren't affected by the storm. Thank goodness. And Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Changed my mind. Gremlins is a Christmas movie. So is Night of the Comet. And he says, I noticed that Amazon Prime Video has all the early 1930 classic horror movies streaming with Prime. I did not know that. Excellent, excellent. NCD says 3 for 5. Not good tonight. That's actually not bad, particularly if you're not a fan of old horror movies. So you know what I mean. And you always rally the second half, which I will now start now. Which of these horror flicks does not include the talents of Scream Queen Jamie Lee Curtis? Was it A, Prom Night, B, The Fog, C, Terror Train, or D, The Silent Scream? I shall repeat. Which of these horror flicks does not include the talents of iconic Scream Queen Jamie Lee Curtis? A, Prom Night, B, The Fog, C, Terror Train, or D, The Silent Scream? It beats me. What's this whip for? It beats me. But I'm bumped. I do see the right answer. Emily says, Esmeralda says, The Gog. Is that Gog and Magog? What movie that had the robots Gog and Magog? Magnetic Monster, Atomic Monster. I see some more guesses coming in. Christopher says, did you see The Night That Panicked America, Bob? It was about the Orson Welles Radio broadcast War of the Worlds. I saw if it's the one I'm thinking of. I saw it when I was like in middle school. It came out like forever ago. John Doe says, "Is Jamie Lee Curtis really a scream queen?" Though, yes, yes, she is. And she was like, "She is definitely in the fog." Yes, a lot. I was going to say a lot of people must have forgotten she was in the fog. Yes, she's in the fog. She's also in the Terror Train, and I think I've given the game away. The correct answer is actually D, the silent scream. She's not in that. And he says, I'm pretty sure Cameron Mitchell was extra drunk for Silent Scream. I don't know if I've seen the Silent Scream, so I'm not sure. Zublik says message retracted. Emily says, didn't guess what I do or you'll get it wrong. Didn't guess what I do or you'll get it wrong. And okay. And Esmeralda says she's a scream queen for sure. And Gary Cameron says yes, her and her mother were in Halloween H2O. And Rachel says I don't watch much horror movies. Maybe I should join back in November. No, no, you're. We love having you here, whether you like our trivia or not. And Music Girl's like, yay, hooray, I got it right. Yay, yay, what do I win? Bragging rights. Emily says, don't. Now that makes a bit more sense. Zubik says Nixon versus Frost. Shauna says, Mom was also in The Fog, as I recall. She may have been, I don't recall, but she may have been. And W says, I think Jamie Lee's mother, Janet Lee, was in The Fog too. Oh, and oh my God, look who's here. Tug is here. Says, sorry, I'm late. Wife wanted a movie night. Well, I'm glad you decided to make it here for the last bit of movie trivia. Thank you for squeezing in. I really, really appreciate it. Tracy's like, Tug, it was great fun this afternoon. It certainly was. For me too. For me too. And Tom's gonna go, but says thanks to everyone. So glad you could make it for the time that you did make it, Tug, Thomas, and Emily says I don't remember watching the original Fog. It's a really good movie. You should try to check it out. Number four. Number four. Which of these animal horror flicks is loosely based on a true story? Not. Is it A, Grizzly, B, The Birds, C, Jaws, or D, Ghost in the Darkness? I shall repeat. Which of these animal horror flicks is loosely based on a true story? Not. A, Grizzly, B, The Birds, C, Jaws, or D, Ghost in the Darkness. And in case I completely fouled you guys up, I'm looking for the one which is not based on an actual event of some kind. It's just completely made up. Um, you know how I like to talk around things. And something's sometimes better than the remake. Oh, musical. I'm sorry, I missed what the thread of the conversation, but I'm glad the original is better than the remake. And John Doe says, "I'm thinking about writing to Vegas. I know a girl out there named Cindy, but I heard she changed it to Sin. Guess that's the name of the game, Sin City. That is priceless. I like that, Sin City. Oh, music, fun, and etc. is here. Good morning, evening, everyone. Music and fun. So glad you could make it, Danny. Please give music and fun a link. And music, I did not. I am so ashamed. I haven't had a chance to actually record the footage. I'm so working on it. It's been just one thing after another for the last few weeks, but I never forget. And SJ says Ghost in the Darkness. No, a lot of people seem to be guessing that one, but Ghost in the Darkness is actually based on these two lions that tormented a group of employees working on the Trans-African Railroad. So that's actually based on a true story. And he says The Birds, although I prefer Mel Brooks' version in High Anxiety, that's actually a very, very, very funny scene. Uh, Oh, Gary says after I get finished, I'm watching Hollywood Graveyard. Yeah, that sounds like a good show. And he states it's like the last election. The Birds is actually also loosely based on a true story. It was in northern England, I want to say. There was some mutant algae that made a bunch of seabirds go haywire, and Hitchcock grabbed this idea and turned it into the Birds. Yeah, no, there's actually a story behind the birds. I'll keep you in suspenders. A grizzly. There was no case of a 16-foot grizzly actually hunting campers in the early 70s. There have been bear attacks, but no one bear going around preying on people. So the correct answer was A, grizzly. Much like this trivia game. At number three, before Larry Drake was horror legend Dr. Giggles, he framed us with this Halloween classic. Was it A, Wait Until Dark, B, The Dark Night of the Scarecrow, C, The Dark Knight, or D, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark? I shall repeat. Before Larry Drake was legend Dr. Giggles, I'll come again. Before Larry Drake was horror legend Dr. Giggles, he framed us in this Halloween classic. A, Wait Until Dark, B, The Dark Night of the Scarecrow, C, The Dark Knight, or D, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark? The Sci-Fi Century. The Sci-Fi Century is here. Sci-Fi Century, so glad you could join us this evening. And the Sci-Fi Century says, what up, Pondo? I'll definitely have you on the Sci-Fi Society podcast for Ghost in the Darkness. Hope you're doing well also. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you. And I'm glad you were a fan of Ghost in the Darkness. I haven't seen the movie in years, but I'd love to discuss it. Uh Tell you what, you can get my contact info from my page. If you want to send me a an email or something, we can talk. But I I love to do guest spots on podcasts, and thank you very much. And so glad you could make it to our show this evening. And John does his attack of the atomic wedgie too. uh Too funny. And the correct answer is The Dark Night of the Scarecrow, which is actually I saw it when I was like 12. You guys know the story. I was visiting my grandparents in Plymouth, and we were in my grandfather's den in the sub level and a finished basement, and just happened to come on. I think it was on HBO or something. Just happened to come on, and it scared the beegees out of us. But Dark Night of the Scarecrow is C, the answer we're looking for. And Indy says the author of Grizzly said it was strongly based on a bear he saw. So I'm guessing conflicting reports here. It was 16 feet. So perhaps he exaggerated. Okay. In the spirit of Indy, because you guys all know, in my trivia game, the decision of the judges are final, unless Indy can prove me wrong. So what we're going to do is everyone give yourself a point for number four. Because if in fact that schlock horror movie Grizzly is in fact based on an actual event, then they all were, and therefore they all weren't, and therefore everyone gives themselves that point. So everyone gets a point for that one. And let's just see. Oh, number two. This atmospheric horror period piece is set during the English Civil War. Is it A, the Tower of London, B, the Haunted Palace, C, Mask of the Red Death, or D, the Witchfinder General? I shall repeat. This atmospheric horror period piece is set during the English Civil War. Is it A, the Tower of London, B, the Haunted Palace, C, Mask of the Red Death, or D, the Witchfinder General? Oh, by the way, there's this great documentary. Mrs. Thrash is watching it now. There's this great documentary on the witch trials of Europe, by the way. It'll be the witch trials of Europe and North America soon, but they haven't gone that far. The Salem witch trials weren't until 1690, I want to say. Emily, you would know that. 1690-ish. Sean says the Tower of London. Oh, good guess, but wrong. Tower of London was, I believe, set during the period of Richard III, which is earlier. The correct answer is, in fact, D. The Witchfinder General, which took place during the peak of the English witch trials, and which just happened to coincide with the English Civil War. And the number one question, at least for tonight, is this Mario Bava masterpiece stars horror beauty queen Barbara Steele. Was it A, Black Sunday, B, Black Sabbath, C, Black Christmas, or D, The Black Cat? And if you were on Tug Show earlier, you probably know the answer to this if you were paying attention. But I shall repeat. This Mario Bava masterpiece stars horror beauty queen Barbara Steele. Was it A, Black Sunday, B, Black Sabbath, C, Black Christmas, or D, The Black Cat? Gary Germer says M, not this time. Oh, Joe G is here and guesses D. Joe G, welcome to the party, by the way. Good to have you with us. Thank you for joining. Sorry you came in for the last question. Hope you at least got some of the earlier ones before the voting stopped. John Doe says, I believe it's black something. Yes, I did that on purpose. Oh, no, thank you, Joe. Good to have you with us. Christopher says, when were the Salem witch trials? Yeah, 1690s, I want to say. 16. You guys remember a friend of the channel, Derek Ronk? He actually had family that had been associated with the trials, descendants of family. He actually went out there a couple years ago on a family vacation. 1692 specifically, yeah, that's kind of where it was. And it's funny how many sheriffs of Salem died under mysterious circumstances since. And yes, she Emily also says 1692. In 1692, Columbus was dead for a couple hundred years at that point. Almost a couple hundred years. The correct answer is Black Sunday. Black Sunday, which I mentioned very briefly when I was talking about Black Sabbath, which is a anthology horror movie, which we've decided is the only film where Boris Karloff actually played a vampire. Cindy says, which black was it? Black Sabbath. Bite my tongue. I did it again. Black Sunday. Mario Bava's Black Sunday is the movie in question. And Black Cat. Who was in the Black Cat? I'm drawing a blank. But Zublik says, which one is Black Sunday? Black Sunday is a woman is accused of being a witch and is killed by inquisitional witch hunters. And the spirit comes back 300 later and infests the young woman to get revenge. Which letter was Black Sunday? Well, Black Sunday was A. And Emily says Black Mass happens in Black Sunday while listening to Black Sabbath. Love it. Love it. And Keithy says 1 out of 10. Thank you for the grizzly. So 1 on a technicality. Well, Keith, I'm glad I was able to be of service. Gary Kerman says Dark Knight of the Scarecrow isn't a Batman film. It's a horror movie about a person dressed up as a scarecrow going around killing people. Spoiler alert. The big reveal at the end is that it's actually the scarecrow. Most of the townspeople, it's weird. What happens is This girl's attacked by a dog, but they think it's Larry Drake, who plays a very similar character to the character he played on LA Law. Um, and what happens, a group of vigilantes go looking for him and end up getting vigilante justice on him. They then become paranoid because they think the law is going to catch up to them. So it's this very paranoid sense where everyone thinks everyone else is out to get them, and murders start happening. And some of them are, as they proceed, people start to figure out that it's actually paranormal. But on the other hand, other people think that it's each other playing their own game. It's actually it's a wild movie. It really is. But unfortunately, we've given the game away. And he says, "I like to think we fought like hell for that one point, Keith. You certainly did." Tug says, "I'd love to see the Mario Bava version of the Black Panther." Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. Esmeralda says, "I am perfect as usual at trivia, a perfect zero, but I love the show." You know what? It's so fun. People actually say, this is really funny. People say they love my trivia, even though they never get the answers right. They love how I come up with these questions. Um, so I guess you can enjoy them on levels. Angela says 2 out of 10. We should go ahead and get scores. 2 out of 10. Sorry, I was distracted again watching the A Team at the same time. Maybe I shouldn't multitask while listening to a live stream. Quite all right. Whatever you do, you do you. Cindy says, true, Emily, but that's how we know it. But is what she meant to say. Gary says, Indy, I happen to have both of them on videotape. And Sean says, Angela, triple distraction with the bat hand, too, indeed. Moses says, I feel like I'm having a Black Sunday, completely cursed to fall at tonight's trivia 0 for 10. No, you got one because everyone got the Grizzly point. And Superplex says, why? I know you hate my trivia. I know. I'm sorry, Superplex. And Tracy's 4 out of 10. Tug says, it's not about the score, but I'm proud of my 50%, 2 out of 4. Lisa says, Emily, you're welcome. Indy says, you're doing the theme for Pink Panther in response to a Black Panther reference. Made me laugh my ass off. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Mario Bava would do, he would do the Clouseau inspector, but instead of the pink diamond, it would be a black pearl or something along those lines. I'm so glad you caught that, Indy. By the way, thank you. And I did a little. It was the only scene I could think of in my head. Anywho, I think I got 4 to 10, which for myself I think is pretty good for a thrash trivia game. Thank you. Yes. Emily says, I enjoy them on the lower levels of hell. Cindy is 3 for 10. It was a dark and gloomy trivia night. Danny says, Stevie Nicks, Edge of 77. I used the same thing because when she was on SNL last night, she did 17, Edge of 17. And I go, when I told Mrs. Thrash that, I go, in her case, it'd be the Edge of 70 now. And she actually thought that was very funny. Teb says 4 of 10. I missed the other questions. No worries. I'm glad you enjoyed what you did see. Tom got 0. Trace says good song. Yes, it is a good song. I just love it, Stevie Nicks. Anyone guess my favorite song by Stevie Nicks is? We've mentioned it. It's Blue Lamp from the heavy metal soundtrack, among others. And Esmeralda says Edge of 17. And Emily says, I got some right, most wrong. John Doe says, you're not you when you're hungry. Have a Snickers. Lisa Fields got 4. Keebler Danger. Oh my gosh. Keebs is here. Keebler Danger. No sugarcoating the truth. Their evening thrash and fam. Keebler, I'm so glad you could make it. Danny, please give Keebler a link. You got to check out Keebler's channel. Putting out some great AI music as of late, by the way, and even one, at least one that was inspired by me. Oh, I love that she actually did a tribute to Keith and Keith's Hippo Hooper. So, Keith, I'm so glad you could make it tonight. And he says, my score sheet looks like the scribblings of a madman at this point. Oh, just give yourself 10 for 10. No, we can't. You did miss one. I just can't remember what it was. But I'm sure you'll find some way of giving yourself the point. And a blue lamp, very good, very good. Indy, I'm just guessing. Music Girl says, does Stevie Nicks still sound good? I heard she is amazing. She still sounds amazing. Emily says, Indy the dog ate my score sheet. Esmeralda says, Stevie Nicks rock. She certainly does. Tracy says, hangry. Indeed. Gary says it's just great to guess. Thank you. Zubu says T Pons, you should watch the Hollywood Graveyards Halloween special, which happened to be recommended by none other than Gary. As I say, I saw the thumbnail. I saw the thumbnail and I was going to try to watch it. I just haven't had a chance to today. Thank you for the link, Danny. Zubu says hello to Keebs. Gary says she sure does. Tug says Stevie Nicks is a liar. I heard Thunder the other day, and there Thunder only happens when it's raining. And Cindy says, I love Stand Back, produced by Prince. He gave Stevie Purple Rain. Ava said she wasn't right for it. No kidding. She could have done Blue Lamp and Purple Rain. Crazy. Musical says Stevie has a great country flavored tune off the Belladonna album called After the Guitar Fades. Not familiar with that one. And he says, I missed the Lovecraft one. Ah, yes, that was it. That was the one. That was the one. Although you made a very compelling case for the shuttered room. Melissa says that was an excellent suggestion by Gary. Emily says Gypsy and Sisters of the Moon are my two faves. Tracy is saying thanks to Tug for earlier. Likewise from me. Lisa loves Stevie Nicks. Angela says got to have work in the morning. Later all. It's been fun. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, Angela. And for all you people who we haven't seen in a while, I'm so glad you could make it. SJ, don't be such a stranger. Pretty please, sugar on top. Come back and see us real soon. To all you new folks who came by tonight, or even shall we say newer, welcome to the family. I'm going to be doing this next week. We're going to go on at 7 because keeping their fingers crossing, Danny, Sister Sarah, and I are going to have our collaboration, and we'll go from one show into the next. So I'll do the we'll do our bit, and then I'll have like a little after party afterwards. So next Sunday at 7, and luck with Sister Sarah and Danny. But again, I want to thank all you guys, for coming by tonight. And a lot of people saying good night to one another. Somebody says, "Whoopee, no trivia." I didn't say there wasn't a trivia. It just won't be on the part with Sister Sarah and Danny. And we while everyone is saying their good nights, if there's any other topics that we'd like to cover, we still have a few minutes because I am going to be wrapping up soon. So anything else people want to read into the record, now is the time. Read now or forever hold the peace. Esmeralda says, sounds great. Thrash, Danny, and Sarah. We had a great time last time. And we'll be talking vampires. We'll be talking vampires in a shameless attempt to ride coattails, Tug's daytime chat. SJ says, great show, SJ. Thank you so much. And again, please, please don't be such a stranger. It was great having you back with us tonight, and come back and see us real soon. Music and Fun says, good night, everyone. Good night to you too, Music. So glad. Like I said, I'll try to contact you again this week. Indy says, don't you dare crush Super's dreams with your trivia. I'm very sorry. And Zuplik says, message retracted. And a message retracted to you as well. Watching says, good night, everyone. Fun as always. Have a great week. You as well. Lisa Field says, love vampires. Well, then why don't you marry them? And Tracy also has to hit the sack. Night Tracy. Night Tracy. Night Angela. Night Tug. We're doing the whole Walton thing again. Night John Boy. Night Liz Girl. Night Son of Sam. Gary says, happy trails to you until we meet again. decades ago, Robin Williams, and I freaking remember the context. I think it was on Mork and Minnie, but I can't remember why he was doing it. He sang "Happy Trails" in the voice of Peter Lorre, and since then, every time I hear the song "Happy Trails," all I can hear is Peter Lorre's voice singing it. It's weird. It is weird. It's even weirder when I said it out loud. Zubik says, "Hang in there, John Doe. We all go through tough times." Oh, did I miss John Doe saying he was having a tough time? John, I'm sorry I missed your comment. If you're having a tough time, I'm wicked, wicked sorry. Hope things get better for you, brother. And Music Girl says, "Great to see you all. Have a great week ahead. Be good, be safe, be sure to look both ways, and take care. See you soon." I couldn't have said it better myself. Great to see Music Girl. Take care of yourself. Esmeralda says, "Thank you for the thrash and chat. You're very welcome." A lot of people saying good night, and a good night to you guys as well. Tug says, "When I hear voices, they also sound like Peter Lorre. Weird." Yeah. I bet Indy gets that one too. Gary says, "Lisa, you'll get a bite out of Dracula, but I'm bumped." And he says, "What a coincidence! I always hear Lori's voice whenever someone says, you have to help me, Rick. Rick, you must hide me. You must like Casablanca." Yeah, some part he had in that movie. But yeah, he was great in that movie with his letters of transit. John Doe says, "I also hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They comfort me. They understand." Good. And by golly, I've caught up. I'm afraid I may have missed a few, but I'm glad I at least caught up. Christopher says, "Good night to Melissa." And he says, "In the Hall of the Mountain King" by Grieg. Yes, and of course, it was used in the horror movie M, which of course starred Peter Lorre. But yes, Indy for the win. Tom says, "AKA Hungry Jerk." Yeah, I thought you. I still am tempted to call you the Hungry Jerk, by the way, just out of habit. I thought you kind of ditched that persona. But yes, Tom, to me, you'll always be the Hungry Jerk from the old um, Wacky Packs card. The Wacky Pack card. My favorite was instead of the True Cigarettes, it was Truant. And it was the kid skipping school, and he's like sitting in the girders under a bridge smoking a cigarette. When I got older, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take up smoking and smoke under bridges instead of going to school. I was going to be like one of those dead end kids. Boy, did I set the bar high. I can't see where I left off. Oh, there it is. Everyone's saying goodnight to one another. Emily says, "Good night, one and all. To sleep, perchance to dream." Indeed. Everyone's saying goodnight to it's remember, guys, it's Christopher. Kenneth is his dad. He uses his dad's account when he logs in with us. It's actually Christopher Wilkinson, and they were actually in the restaurant not long ago. He gave me this really really awesome. It's on my desk, but it's a sort of a bobbled dialect. It's really really cool. Doug says he finally got some food in him, as have we all. Anywho, we're getting towards that time, guys. So again, and he says he'll always be K Dub to me. I dub the cirrhosis of liver. That's the best I can do on such short notice. So any last minute topics, please feel free to read them into the record. What do we get? We still have 15 people on with the bill like flies, but Emily says, "How are we supposed to know it's Christopher and not Kenneth? We don't know them." Oh, I told you. That's how fast get read into the record. People tell you, and then you know things. I wasn't chastising you for not knowing. I was simply pointing it out. And haven't you ever wondered why even if you didn't notice me telling you, but haven't you ever noticed me always saying it's Christopher Wilkinson? It's Christopher Wilkinson. You think my dyslexia was really, really, really acting up? But Emily, I tease. So Kenneth is never here, never ever. You made that sound so tragic. I would imagine Mr. Wilkinson, Christopher, Kenneth. Now you got me doing it. Stops by from time to time. Denny says, "Happy trails." You got me doing it again. Music Girl says, "I was today years old when I found out that Kenneth isn't Kenneth." It's not quite so eerie either. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to start a thing. Zubik says, next week, dump quizzes, night teapons. All right, you know what? As a treat for everyone, there won't be any trivia next week. I might come up with some fun facts, but no trivia. Dumpty says, is this what they call the long goodbye? Well, I keep going to say goodbye, and people keep bringing up new stuff. And, Doug says, I'm shocked people on the internet aren't who they think they are. Emily said, you never heard me call Kenneth Christopher. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I thought it. Oh, you know what? It may have been on one of the nights when you weren't here because there's some nights where you're not on. But anyway, Emily, I didn't mean to freak you out, but yeah, it's a father son team. That in fact it was the father son that came to my restaurant, and Kenneth is the father, and Christopher is the son. And in fact, I believe he actually pointed that out at on this channel at one point. But in any event, I did not mean to muddle the proverbial mix. And he says, we're keeping a record. Well, I'm screwed. Melissa says, good night, Thrash Pondo, and to all, indeed. Well, Emily says, does anybody else not go by their real name? I'm not Thrash Pondo. Zubik says, we got to hear Mrs. T. Pons for the first time. We certainly did. Say isn't so no trivia. Emily says, okay, Liz, but you're not going by Mary Joe or some shit. We see again, it's his father's what happens is he's using, I guess my understanding it's his father's computer. And so when he logged into YouTube, it used his father's name and he just sort of like left it. But Ellie says, don't start with me, Tug. Tree says, had to come back. What's your show? What show your what? I'll come again. Had to come back. What's show your what that your wife's watching? I want to watch it too. Which platform? I don't know. I honestly, in fact, I don't think it's still on anymore. It was on one of those history channels, and we were just watching it earlier today. But I don't know if it's a marathon or whatnot. Sorry. Um, and let's see what else we got. And no, my wife isn't called T Pons. Usually just called Bob's wife. She comes over work and she goes, "Oh, guess what? Some people were at work today. They go, oh, you're Bob's wife." uh, Emily says, "Eric, my wife's isn't called Mrs. Thresh. I don't think anyone's wife should be called Mrs. Thresh. It just sounds bad form." Zibble says, "I thought she was all made up bent pawns too." Or Mrs. Pons. Emily says, Miss Girl says, Emily, you've known my real name for a long time. There we go. And Tracy says, okay, good night for real. Okay, night. If I can find anything out about it, like if it's gonna be on again, because sometimes you can track your past shows. I'll give you a message. And Denny says, what about Bob? I don't know. What about me? What about me? And Indy says, thanks for the trivia. You're quite welcome. And Zublik says, T-Pons were not for autocorrect. Anywho, um, again, I want to say thank you, you guys. It was an absolute blast tonight. By the way, I had a lot of fun. Sorry, you guys um, weren't didn't pick up on the trivia as much, but I'm glad even the people who didn't do well had fun with it. Again, sometimes I try to make them um, more for entertaining purposes than educating purposes, but I worked with what I got. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. By the way, like I said, I look forward to these all week, and I'm glad that you guys could actually make it. I hope you enjoy the rest of the long weekend. Um, Again, I'm probably going to put out new content this week. I'm just not sure when. For people who said I was going to try to contact this week, I will definitely get on that. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'll get back to you. Key says, "Good night, everybody. Sorry if I missed your comments. Be well." Zubul says, "The truth is, T Pawns is an AI. Wouldn't that be a kick?" But anyway, until next time, guys, be good, be safe, be careful, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.